Consider that the best state of fortune lies neither in plenty nor in dire need, but in a mediocrity that fosters gentleness of mind. Seneca reminds us that a little suffices when paired with parsimony, and that being full in ourselves is the true blessing, free from dependence on fortune. Seneca teaches that those who have least to lose fear least, and those never favored by fortune are often better satisfied than those she has forsaken. This middle state is both safe and wholesome, providing what is necessary without excess, and preserving the mind from fear and envy. Cicero reflects on the power fortune wields over the body and external events, yet questions whether it can surpass the power of counsel and reason. He challenges us to see that true dignity arises when we live honestly, wisely, and justly, independent of fortune's interference. Seneca further asserts that fortune's blows cannot reach the mind, which is shielded by providence's gifts. These blessings grow greater the longer we consider them. The power to contemn what terrifies and to despise what common people covet, a freedom granted by the divine order of nature. We are reminded that pleasures weaken the mind and bind us to fortune's whims. True wealth lies not in increasing possessions, but in retrenching desires. Seneca warns that all we pursue with such hazard is merely entrusted to us by fortune, always ready to pass to a new master. Finally, Cicero exhorts us to anticipate fortune, to cut off every access to our minds. Though fortune may threaten the body, it cannot touch the integrity of reason and virtue. The wise man stands firm, composed against all shocks, mastering himself rather than the uncertain world. Seneca teaches us that tranquility is a certain equality of mind, which no condition of fortune can either exalt or depress. He calls this state human perfection, raising us as high as we can go and making each man his own supporter. Cicero reminds us that man alone has a feeling for order and propriety, a sense that demands consistency in thought and deed. This moral goodness, though silent, merits praise by its very nature. Marcus Aurelius observes that the mind may retain its rest and tranquility by right judgment of events, and readiness to embrace each present matter as fitting to its nature and reason. Seneca warns that without a certain and unchangeable judgment, all else is but fluctuation. The man who wills and nills the same thing is undoubtedly in the right, mastering what either allures or affrights him. Thus, liberty and serenity of mind follow mastery over desire and fear. The mind, when squared by reason and benevolence, becomes a fortress no external force can breach. Cicero exhorts us to fix our judgments firmly, doing nothing capriciously, but with measured order. In this we find the true beauty and harmony that reason and nature demand. Remember, the mind's calm is its own achievement. It is not given by fortune, but earned by steadfastness. This is the charge we must uphold, to keep the mind untouchable and serene. Consider the state, which Cicero describes as eternal, unlike the fleeting life of a man. Its preservation demands our utmost care, for it is the source of our greatest benefits and the parent dearer than those who gave us life. Cicero warns that knowledge and science, though vast and noble, must yield to the urgent needs of the state and its citizens. A man would abandon even the study of the stars if his country were in peril. Justice stands above expediency, even when the latter appears more convenient. Concealing truth for personal gain, Cicero argues, is not mere silence, but a betrayal of those who have a right to know. The conflict between what is right and what seems expedient often tempts us to forsake moral rectitude. Yet Cicero decisively affirms that truthfulness and fairness must never be sacrificed for short-term advantage. The highest virtue is wisdom, but Cicero insists that the duties born of justice, those that protect and serve the community, must always take precedence over intellectual pursuits alone. Cicero calls for a steadfast commitment to serve the common good with justice, placing the welfare of our country and fellow men above all else, even amid the shifting fortunes of life. Cicero teaches that the highest duties arise from the highest virtue, which is wisdom. Yet he adds that the bonds uniting gods and men to one another derive from this wisdom. These social ties demand our foremost attention. He asks us to consider a man who would abandon even the study of the stars to face a peril threatening his country. Such is the sacredness of justice and duty toward others, which must surpass all private pursuits. Justice, Cicero insists, must be prioritized above the desire for knowledge, for it concerns the welfare of our fellow men. Nothing should be more sacred in our eyes than the well-being of those with whom we share life's bonds. Laelius, Cicero's advocate of justice, declares that virtue seeks honor but accepts it without bitterness. When inspired by such virtue, no earthly bribe or throne can sway a man who esteems his conscience and moral rectitude above all. Even if the world's envy or ingratitude strips away worldly rewards, the wise man sustains himself by the beauty of moral rectitude and the approbation of his own conscience, a reward divine and enduring. Therefore, Cicero exhorts us to respond swiftly and without hesitation when duty calls, to place justice and social bonds above all else. In this lies the true measure of wisdom and the highest virtue. Consider the fate of the Republic, shattered and undone, as Cicero laments in De Officiis. Yet he does not surrender to despair, but turns to philosophy as his refuge and occupation amid chaos. Cicero teaches that the wise man remains indifferent to the forms of government, which are mere externals. His spirit soars above them in serene self-contemplation, untouched by tyranny's storms. In Cicero's view, endurance is a virtue that supports the wise man in times of trial. He counsels that the education of rulers in virtue is the true remedy for disorder, not rebellion or unrest. The wise man knows that political freedom may be lost, yet his soul remains free. He does not yearn for restoration through external means, but cultivates inner strength and self-denial. Cicero himself, amid exile and sorrow, refuses idleness. He labors in letters, turning grief into purpose, embodying the duty to live honestly and with unwavering resolve. Therefore, endure without faltering. Hold fast to virtue when all else is taken. In the face of fortune's changes, cultivate the serene self-command that no external force can overthrow.